Well, of course, our major focus is power supply problems and the fact that we're still on stage 4 load shedding at this hour, despite assurances from the Public Enterprises Minister that things would get better today. However, water supply is another big bone of contention in various areas around the country.
Yeah, it definitely is something that we're looking into at eNCA ahead of the election on Monday. Our reporters are across the country, in particular looking at the water issue. They join us now live. We have Ronald Masinda in Knysna, Manqoba, Mchunu in Mahikeng, and Aviwe Mtila, of course, in East London for us. Ronald, we'll start with you because there's some controversy in Knysna around the water meter issue that is currently unfolding. Tell us why this was a waste of money and what action is being taken.
Well, Shahan, a forensic report into the procurement of these prepaid water meters is expected to be finalized soon, but from what we heard from the executive mayor, he's adamant that this was not fruitless expenditure. Total contrast, some of the Knysna people that we spoke to, activists, are saying that this was just another dodgy tender that has gone wrong for the municipality. We also spoke to several residents. One resident that lives in Sedgefield, she told us that she has had to use 4 water meters and all 4 have been faulty. In fact, currently she's been using a water meter since February and hasn't been charged for the use of water. So she's been using water freely since February, and she believes that a lot of other people in Knysna are also using water freely. But we also heard from other members, people who live in Knysna, saying that, you know, they've also been in protest, saying that the Knysna, a local municipality, has been forcing them to use these water meters against their will. The Knysna municipality is adamant that they will get to the bottom of this. They did say that around 10,000 of these water meters will be installed over a 3-year period. We also heard from the executive mayor earlier. This is what he had to say.
It's important for me just to say the following, because I'm very unhappy about accusations made against our officials. When people want to score political points, it's fine. I can deal political with it. But when your intention is to tarnish the reputation of hardworking officials, that's where I'm drawing the line here. And I'm very concerned about that, the motive is now in that vein. On the issue of spending millions of rand, wasting money, just remember, this was not fruitless expenditure. It was irregular expenditure, and there's a total difference between that. Basically, it means that we did get value for money. So it's not wasn't money wasted. I want to be clear on that.
So that's the controversy over water in Knysna. Aviwe Mtila, I want to bring you in. You're in Port Alfred. Water issues there as well, but quite different to Knysna.
Dire water situations. In fact, the residents of Port Alfred have had to undergo day 0 of no water for the last 2 years. At least all the people that I've spoken to, Sally, have told me that the last time that they had running municipal water in their homes was sometime last year, bar one person, Davy van Wyk from the Taxpayers and Residents Association. Davy tells me that the last time that he had water at home was on the 15th of January. So in about 2 months' time, Davy himself will be marking a year without any municipal water. So if it then depends, Sally, on whether you're fortunate or more privileged or not. If you have money in your pocket, then your plan is to get those water tankers at your home. But if not, you face then to queue up with thousands of other locals as they queue up in different areas for those water tankers. The sad part about that is that those water trucks don't come as often as possible, with some areas left without any water. For example, in one of the areas that I went to, the last time that they had water was Monday. So no water from municipality or no water from the water tankers themselves. But in fact, while there is drought in those areas, another issue comes in with the municipality itself, with the AG report suggesting that 50% of the water in Port Alfred is unaccounted for. That's around 27 million rands of water that's unaccounted for. In a conversation that I had with one of the locals and residents, Davy van Wyk.
He's quite correct in the AG's report, and I think it's to do with a lack of foresight, and it's a lack of maintenance of the pump stations, and We didn't take advantage of the water coming down the river to the weir where they pump the water into the Sorrel Haywood Dam. So unfortunately, the Sorrel Haywood Dam is now empty, so we cannot pump any water from there. So the only thing we have at the moment is an emergency RO plant that is producing short of 2 megalitres of water a day, and Port Alfred actually needs 6.5 megalitres of water a day. So we're getting about a third of the water, which means the only people who are getting water are in the low-lying areas of Port Alfred, as the water cannot be pumped into the high-lying areas as there's insufficient water.
Absolutely shocking, isn't it? I haven't had water since this morning and I was complaining.
Yeah,
Some
you were very grumpy after just one day.
Exactly, just after a year without water. I could never imagine that.
Yeah.
So, Manqoba, let's bring it to you in Mahikeng, because the situation across the country is not something that we should be proud of as a nation, let alone government. What are you finding in Mahikeng?
Well, Shahan, it is really a bad state of affairs here in Mahikeng. I can tell you that we visited about 3 villages here which really have not had water for the past 3 years. We spoke to residents from these villages, and they are telling us, Shahan, that they have to rely on boreholes in order to get water. But besides that, they're saying that if at all they do not have boreholes, they then have to buy water from water tankers and from some of the businessmen that have really started businesses of selling water to local community members. And earlier on, we did speak to one of the water traders telling us that he sells 2,500 litres of water. That is water that fills a JoJo tank for 250 per head. So this means that these households have to fork out about 750 rand per month just to access clean water to drink. We also visited one of the areas, Sidiweng, which does have water taps and water flowing there, but the issue there is different. The water that is there is simply undrinkable, and residents are saying that the water sometimes is brown and that they really cannot use that water. So there are different issues, but the biggest one, and perhaps the more concerning one for many of the villages here, is that there simply is no running water in this particular township. But I'm joined now by Thabo Mutwari, who's one of the residents here in Sidiweng, just to paint a picture of the situation here. Of course, Thabo, here you do have running water, but that water is undrinkable.
Yes, it's not an undrinkable. The problem ke gore ka kwano re na le problem ya gore re na le sebaka sa 3 months to 4 months re sena metsi. Metsi ga a tla le leswe a tla sa siama, ha se metsi ene gore a ka nwa ke batho. Even le go nwa le ke diphologolo, ha se metsi a ka go nwa le ke diphologolo because a ka di bola. Ke gone re nna le metsi no hela yana mo 3 days ntse feta. The problem ya rona ya masepala re felo ke masepala rona re na le sewage e leng gore go tlhatswa metsi teng, metšhinari ya teng e senyegile, di-pipe tsa teng di senyegile, ga di bereke. Ntse re gona re supply-wa ke Sedibeng water, ke sone se ntse se leka go ka re thusa ka metsi. Department ya palola ke go patela metsi ao, the diswa metsi ntse a timile. One another thing ke gore re ntse re na le problem ya gore re itse gore go na le 10 million e tswileng gore re agelwe re kgone go kreya metsi a ka nowang. Re reketswe ditanka di le 3 mo motseng tse leng gore ga di worth that money e leng gore e tswile. Re sa itse gore madi ao a ile kae.
Okay, and the situation around the other villages, of course, is not looking good. Many of the villages here don't have water. Is this a problem? I mean, going to the elections, are you hopeful perhaps that you would see this resolved?
I don't see gore go tla resolve you anything because of unit 13, 14, 15 sikale keke e bidiwang extension 39 ntse le yone ena le problem ya yone metsi a eleng gore even le ba councilor ba di ward tsa rona ba itse ba bone khale ba bona metsi ya gore ntse ya re lekile go bua le masepala wa rona gore a leke gore thusa gona nong ga o batla metsi o rekisediwa metsi ke batho ba rekisa metsi ba gella mo dibohulong tse leng gore di dirilwe ke masepala. Re na le problem ya gore ha o reka metsi ba go rekisa ka 250 ele gore le wena o sa bereking ga ona le metsi ao re ka dira example ka baagi ba sa kgone go ka itirela ba sa kgone go ka ntsha le madi ao mara ba kgona go rekisediwa metsi ao masepala wa rona ga o re direle sepe ga o dire just because fela re ya go ditlhophong ke gone ba reng ba leka plan ya gore metsi a nne teng. As we speak right now re na le problem ya gore go.
All right, I'll have to cut you there due to time. But, of course, he's explaining, Sally, that they do not have running water. In fact, he says that in this particular area, the water had been cut for about 4 months. And when it came back dirty. It was brown. It had, fungus or green stuff inside it. So he says that that water was simply undrinkable for both humans and animals. But also saying that the bigger issue for the other villages is the fact that there is no taps, there is no systems that are working. In fact, he says that there was 10 million rand that was issued by the municipality to fix this particular issue, but it was never addressed. And he says that most of the villages will now have to buy water. And of course, many of the people simply cannot afford to buy that water for 250 rand.
Yeah, Manqoba, Mchunu in Mahikeng, thank you very much. And I think what you have highlighted, you as well, Aviwe Mtila in Port Alfred, and Ronald Masinda in Knysna, is that at every level of water supply there are problems, whether it's a village that still has not got running taps or an area that has been given piped water, that the quality of that water is just not drinkable, or it's simply dried up. Even to the level in Knysna, Ronald, where there's dispute about this water meter system. It is astonishing that at every level of water supply there are some very serious problems. And thank you so much to the three of you for highlighting that crucial issue at this hour.